Today we're going to try and speed run through the summary and the directed writing from paper 2. This is November 2024. Paper 1 variant 2 for the summary. It will be paper 2 variant 2 for the directed writing task. Now, because of that, obviously we won't be discussing it in as much detail as we have in previous classes, right? But that's also fine. Let's see how you guys are able to do with not as much guidance as I would normally extend, right? So that's also good for your practice. How much are you able to manage on your own? For now, right, you can see the text on screen. I'll give you a few minutes to read this part, right? In fact, if I zoom out, will you be able to read the whole thing? All right, can you guys read that? Is it legible?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the whole text on screen. Take a read, and then we'll get to the summary. Right, so now let's move on to the question. Okay. Summarize the disadvantages of the fitness app. Disadvantages on, right? And the rest you're familiar with. So, right, I'll keep it like that. I have my highlighter ready. So you guys can tell me which parts to highlight and I'll get to it. I'll tell you this much that there are 12 points in the mark scheme, right? Like the normally are anywhere between 11 and 13. So always more than 10.
The question is about the disadvantages of the fitness app, no?
Yes. I think this one's like pretty straightforward.
Line number 12.
Line number
12.
12,
Whether you want it to or not.
whether you wanted to or not. So that comes from here. Shares
Yeah.
this information whether you wanted to or not.
It invades one's privacy.
Okay, great. And the comments have got line 9. So line 9, Afin paying the significant monthly subscription. That one. Okay, and line 11 to 12. So I believe that's what you meant as well, Amarza, the information being shared on social media. All right. Haram, which line were you suggesting?
Line number 23.
23, so that's over here. Feeling overwhelming peer pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, Namarza says line 25. Making mean comments, I believe. Line 13. Okay, so that's here. You can see who else has completed the same route. Compare your workout to theirs and leave comments. Is that a disadvantage? Right? The way it's presented over here in this particular line, it just seems like the person's talking about what the app can do. Okay, the one below it. Initially, I was addicted to the app, using it all the time. This part. Okay. All right. What else do we have? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are halfway through.
Line number 16.
16. Feeling unnecessarily competitive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Line number 20.
Oh, slow down. Leave something for the rest of them. Have you guys found something else? Okay. Haram, which line had you suggested? Amarza, this is the whole thing. There's nothing to scroll. Haram, which line had you suggested?
Line number 20.
20. The app breaks popular courses into segments, recording each rider's best time on
Uh,
each segment.
no,
Well,
that's where the competition creeps in.
that's where the competition keeps. Mm, I don't feel, because you already mentioned like it being unnecessarily competitive, right? So just mentioning where it happens. So comparing these two, I believe this point is far more relative. This paragraph, right? He does mention this is where the competition comes in, but I won't use it as a point, right? Uh,
Okay.
line 31, daily comparisons. Okay, line 31. Okay, line 33 and 34. So 33, not great for my mental health, and I don't want an app to run down my phone battery. Anything else, Haram? Amariza?
No.
No, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're actually one short, assuming all of these are correct. I'll go over it once we're done with all the points, but we're still missing one, so we need at least one more. Anyone? One more point.
Line number 35.
Line number 35. I don't want to track an epic bike ride and not have the ability to call someone or call someone for help or look for directions. Okay, I'll mark that and then we'll see. Line 17. Going back up. Enjoyment of just riding for the sake of riding. So that's definitely a disadvantage. Okay, so anything else before I review your work? Okay, so right, of all these points, I feel this one not great for my mental health, and sulking for days are on the same, like they have the same context, and so I treat them as one point. Okay, and this could be right, not being able to call someone for help. It is, however, not suggested in the mark scheme. So, this is not one of the cases where it's up to the examiner. Right, you won't get a mark for that one. So I'll remove it. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, right? So I'm keeping these two as 1. Now, right, the question is disadvantages of the fitness app, right? So on that note, uh, right, nothing much in the first paragraph. Though no doubt teenagers have already moved on, the fitness app is still popular among my people my age. So what they've done is they've taken this part that teenagers have moved on, that the app is now old, right? It's become out of date. So that's a disadvantage probably. It's more like I feel it's more like a trend thing, not necessarily the app is out of date, but the mark scheme has mentioned it. So right? Okay, then we have the paying subscription part, and then sharing the information whether you want it to or not, becoming addicted, becoming too competitive, taking the joy out of riding. Uh, and then there's another one in between. Now, what they've done is they've broken this part into two. Right? Discouraged when you see them riding faster. So they've treated that part as a separate point. Then, right, putting everything on the app, and then you have puts your failures into numbers, right? So it sort of makes statistics out of it. That's a negativity. I'd say just calling it a failure, right? Not every day is the same for everyone, but the app is like, oh no, you didn't run as much, you didn't ride as fast or whatever, right? And so that is treated as failure. Uh, the mean comments. Okay, in fact, daily comparisons would not make me feel good about my own goals. Now, seeing that we already have this part, right? And so the comparisons obviously with the other users. So if we take that and we take it along with the unnecessarily competitive and discouraged when they had ridden faster, right? So it's the same thing. If you take a look at it, it's not exactly a unique point, right? So I take that as the same. Now, what they suggested in the mark scheme is this part. Seeing another athlete's epic workout on the app, I think to myself, I could do that and run faster and further than I should, right? Or I'll never do that. So they've taken this part and they've written it as, we are pushed to overtrain. Right? So it's not that I could do that as an encouragement, but I could do that and then pushing yourself beyond your own limit. So just for clarity, I would again, right, these 2 points same, and this point and these two over here same. They're not, right, individuals. And I believe, yeah, that's right. So that's all for the summary. Share a screenshot of this with you guys. Next we have, right, your Ned, the person who was mentioned, is mentioned. Okay, Afin, I missed your comment. You said line 22, so that's the mentality made me feel as though if I rode, I had to ride fast. So that is coming into the unnecessarily comparative part, right? Okay, so you're Ned, you're the personal trainer. You are asked a question by someone who enjoys running and is interested in your work. Give your answer to the runner's question using the information from the text. The runner's question: I'm thinking of getting a personal trainer, but some people say it's a waste of money. This is interesting. What is your opinion and why? So, first of all, what would your opinion be? Would you say that the person needs a trainer? Right? Is having a trainer a waste of money? Okay, so right, person needs a trainer. It's not a waste of money. So we have our opinion now as to what parts of the text you will pick out and use. Give me an example of any part of the text that you pick out to support, and then, right, obviously you need to develop it. Oh, sorry. Here you go.
What was the question?
The question is that you are Ned, you are the personal trainer that's mentioned in this text. and someone comes up to you and says that he or she, whomever it is, wants to get a personal trainer, but other people are saying that having a personal trainer is a waste of money. What is your opinion and why? So the opinion we've gotten is that it's not a waste of money to get a trainer. It's actually a good thing. So that's the opinion. Now you need to find 2 points from the text and develop those 2 points. All right, so I'll leave the development to you, but could you highlight?
Now work at my own pace.
Right, so obviously you should look at any part of the text that you could mold as to the usefulness of having a personal trainer. So lines 3 to 4. So I had actually been riding regularly as well as eating healthily and attending relaxation classes, both definite improvements and recommended by my personal trainer and new friend Ted. There's actually much more over here than so this is actually more than 1 point after, right? As recommended by the mark scheme, right? There are actually 2 points over here. So the first point, and for this I've made a different color. So these are right recommendations. In fact, I'll go with the eating regularly, riding regularly, eating and attending all that by my personal trainer. And so let's take yellow for this, right? That's 1 point, and they've taken this part as another one, right? New friend. Now those are 2 points, and you have your 2 points, right? Obviously, you need to develop those further. Okay, anything else you guys can pick out because I want to move on to the directed writing.
Line number 37.
Line number 37, right? Asking for Ned's advice when I need it. So it's always there for advice. Good. We have another one, right? There are 5 possible points of text, right? That details on the text that you could pick out, right? We've found 3 of them. There are 2 more, right? So you could obviously just use these if you develop them properly. If you think you found something else and would like to use that, you're more than welcome, right? Obviously, when I review your responses next time, then we'll see whether you were on point or not. Okay, there is some other mention over here from Ned, about Ned, sorry, right? So you can find those parts and use those. Okay, now here is paper 2. And right here are texts A and B. They're both students. So I go ahead, take a read, and then we'll take a look at the question and highlight the points. So let's take a look at the question. Your school principal is considering banning mobile phones in schools and has asked students for their views. You can read the views of you have read the views of 2 students. Write an email to your principal saying whether or not you think mobile phones should be banned, and the rest you know. Right? The only thing is, begin your email with "Dear Principal" and supply a suitable ending. Right? So the email is pretty much uh, like a letter, right? And I say this because I asked the facilitator at the Cambridge training what the difference between an electronic mail, right, email, and a letter is, and she said not much really. It's pretty much the same thing. Right now, if you take a look at the endorsed textbook, if you have that, they do mention that, oh, you can put in the sender, receiver, and subject and stuff like that. So if you want, you can put in a subject line, right, just to show that, oh, this is an email. But other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. Okay, so don't get confused when you see, oh, it's an email. I didn't study that. It's just a letter. So, your school is considering banning mobile phones and ask students for their views, right? So obviously, we have advantages and disadvantages, or let's say pros and cons, right, in these views. So let's start marking them. Safer, makes research easy, can take pictures. Okay. It helps me feel safe. And easy to use it for research. And right, I like to use it for photos and videos. We've got 3 over there. Line 20, responsibility. This is quick. Parents are happier. Yes, that is also a point. For the safety, the parents are happy, easy to do research, photography, more responsibility. There's one more. Yes, setting reminders. So the setting reminders and having that, all of that, they put that in as being able to organize yourself. Right, so it's good for organizing yourself. That was quick. What about the second text? Distractions.
The students trip on steps and walk into doors.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
The student trips on steps and walk into doors.
Well, I mean, that is just an extension of the distraction, right? It's not, uh, I mean, the way that this distraction, right? So that is part of distraction. So one distraction is checking your social media and messages and missing on the lesson. And then this distraction means the missing out on the lesson and being distracted as to where you are and what you're doing, right? So you slip on the step, you're not aware that you're on the stairs, you're not aware that you're walking into a wall or the door is closed. So those also count as distractions. Those are details which you could use in your email, right? But highlighting them as a separate point is unnecessary. For like we're just highlighting, right? When you're writing it out, you can use those details uh, in your email. Okay. Uh,
Okay.
okay, I've missed a few messages. So limits or reduces creativity. Okay. Then we have addicting. All right. Then we have Uh, Difficult for teachers to identify weaknesses, so yes.
Encourages envy.
Just a right. So they are expensive, and this causes stress. Right, if they lose them, it encourages envy and friendship issues. Okay, Amarza, you've mentioned 2 points: taking help from search engines and increasing dependency. I don't think they're given in the text, right? But you can use that as development for the point of when limiting creativity. So when they're using AI, that is limiting creativity. There's the search engine part as well, right? It does say when like limiting creativity when students are looking for ideas online. So right, that is an extension, like I said, development of these points. And right, when students are doing that, teachers are sort of have a problem of knowing where and how to help them. And then right, when students are getting that right because they're using AI and search engines to get the idea, not only is their creativity being limited, but it's also increasing their dependency, because now the brain and is sort of not trying to work. I mean, they're not trying to use it. It's not the brain's not trying to work. They're just won't even try to think on their own, and they'll always be dependent on using AI and the internet and search engines to get ideas and the answer. So those are good points for development. Okay. So we've gotten the points, you know the question, right? I am not going to suggest development, right? So I'll leave that to you guys, and let's see how you manage it. So the what is it? Evaluation, right? The evaluation and the development is on you. And finally, we have the composition. So obviously descriptives and narratives. Zoom in a bit. So the descriptive first one is describe the scene in your home when your family is preparing to go away somewhere together, for example, on holiday or on a day trip, and when they arrive home, right? So both scenarios. Then describe two very different people apart from your parents who are important role models for you. They could be relatives, friends, or famous people. Say why they're so. This is rather different. Say why they're important to you. This one's rather different, right? We haven't done describing people, right? So over here, you could obviously talk about their physical description, but the question's more about their personalities and how, why they're so, what they do and why they're important to you, right? So what effect they have in your life. Uh, right, so it obviously it's not describing a scene and the sunset and the the wind blowing and stuff like, and the raining and the people running. It's not like that. So you could take a try at that. This does pop up sometimes. Maybe I could touch on it in a future class, right? How to describe people, as in, again, not physically, but right, the way this question presented. Of course, it is also, if you're not used to it, you can obviously go with the first descriptive, because that is describing a scene, right? You will describe what people are doing, but you don't need to go into their personalities and all of that, right? So instead of describing the park or a sunset or something, right, you're describing the scene at your home with people running about and packing their bags or whatever it is. All right, moving on to the narratives. Write a story in which someone receives an unexpected telephone call with some exciting news. And write a story which includes the sentence, "What do you mean? You forgot it?" That's interesting topics. Right, obviously you have your pick. I'll be assigning all three of these tasks on your Google Classroom, and please have them done for next class on Monday, please. Right? So we'll review that and then move ahead. Or yes, right, I did mention this earlier as well. Classes will continue in April, at least till the third week of April. When is that? Right. So we have up till the 21st, because the classes are Mondays and Tuesdays. So that's the 6th and 7th of April, and then the 13th and 14th, and then the 20th and 21st. And I believe just about then your next week or same week your exams are starting. So yes, I will continue through April till the 21st, because after that your papers are beginning. Right? Unless you want me to continue further, if you're available, we could do that as well. But till the 21st, definitely. Anything you guys would like to add, suggest, comment, something? All right, then I'll see you next time, inshallah.
Inshallah. Allah Hafiz.
Allah.